Warhammer has a ton of factions, and as someone still learning the universe, a few of them have really stood out to me. These aren't the strongest or the most competitive, they're just the ones that caught my attention and stuck with me. So here are my top 5 favorite Warhammer factions. At number 5, I have the Grey Knights. There's something really striking about them. Even when I was debating which army to start with, the Grey Knights were one of the first factions I seriously considered. They have this presence that's hard to ignore, almost like they're operating on a different level from the rest of the Imperium. I love their aesthetic, the silver armor, the knight-like helmets, the encryptions carved onto every plate. They look less like soldiers and more like relics brought to life. There's a sense of purpose in their design, like every detail is there to remind you that these aren't ordinary space marines. Some of my favorite models from the Grey Knights are the Terminators and their Venerable Dreadnought. The Terminators look like walking fortresses, and the Dreadnought has this ancient, reverent energy to it, like a warrior who refused to stop fighting even after death. And the more I learned about them, the more interesting they became. A tiny brotherhood of psychic warriors, fighting threats most people in the Imperium never even heard about. They feel secretive, almost mystic, like the kind of force that only appears when things are truly beyond saving. Even though I didn't end up choosing them as my first army, they left a strong impression on me. They're one of those factions that stay in the back of your mind. Number 4 is the Tyranids. They are one of the factions that immediately grabbed my attention. The Tyranids are my first army in Warhammer 40k, and honestly, Space Marine 2 is part of the reason why I went with them. Seeing them swarm across the screen in that game made them feel huge, terrifying, and alive in a way that stuck with me. But once I actually started looking into them, they became even more interesting. They're not just monsters. They're a whole ecosystem, evolving and adapting with this single purpose of consuming everything in their path. Every model looks like it was grown, not built. Every shape feels intentional. When it comes to their models, the Hive Tyrant, Lictors, Biovores, and possibly my favorite model, Old One-Eye, are awesome. Old One-Eye especially feels like a creature that survived 1,000 battles and is ready for 1,000 more. It's such a simple idea. A Carnifex that refuses to die, but the sculpt made it feel legendary. That's what I love about Tyranids. They're monsters, but they're also strangely elegant. Every model tells a story just through its shape. They're a perfect mix of horror and beauty, and as a first army, they've been a great introduction to the universe. At number 3, I've got the World Eaters. They're loud, violent, and honestly the complete opposite of my personality. But that contrast is exactly why they stand out to me. There's something fascinating about a faction that's just pure momentum. No hesitation, no subtlety, just this unstoppable forward charge. Their armor looks like it's been through a lifetime of battles, and every model feels like it's caught mid-swing. You can almost feel the weight of the chain axes and the fury behind every pose. I think what I like most is how raw they are. There's no mystery, no hidden agenda, just rage, expressed through brutal, chaotic design. They're messy, they're intense, and they're visually unforgettable. Even if I never collect them, I can't help but admire how much personality they have. They're a reminder that sometimes the simplest concept, pure, unfiltered aggression, can be the most striking. Number 2 is the Thousand Sons. They're one of the most visually beautiful factions in the entire setting. The gold, the blue, the ornate armor, everything about them feels ancient and deliberate. They look like warriors pulled straight out of a forgotten myth. What really draws me in is their atmosphere. They're mysterious, tragic, and almost elegant in the way they're portrayed. You can feel the weight of their story just by looking at them. A legion that tried to do the right thing and ended up cursed for it. Their models have this calm, almost regal presence. Like they're not just fighting a war, but carrying out some forgotten ritual. They're the faction that made me realize Warhammer can be strange and magical in ways I didn't expect. Not just grim dark, but mythical, symbolic, and surreal. Each time I see them, I get that feeling of there's more going on here, and that's what keeps them near the top of my list. Before I reveal number 1, if you like this content, you know what to do. And at number 1, the Necrons. There's just something about them that immediately stood out to me. They have this perfect mix of ancient mystery and cold futuristic design that feels unlike anything else in Warhammer. The glowing green, the skeletal frames, the way their armor looks worn but eternal. It all creates this atmosphere of something old waking up again. They don't feel like an army that marches. They feel like a force that simply reappears, as if they were always there. And one of the coolest things about them is how they just get back up. You think you've taken one out, and then the metal starts kitting itself together and it rises again like nothing happened. It makes them feel unstoppable, like time itself is on their side. That quiet inability is what I love most. They don't rage or chant or scream, they just advance, slowly and confidently, because they know they'll outlast everything around them. Every Necron model feels like a piece of forgotten history, and every bit of their lore adds to that sense of cosmic scale. Whenever I see Necron art or miniatures, I get that spark of, yeah, this is my thing. They're eerie, they're iconic, and they're easily my favorite faction in Warhammer right now. These are my favorites at the moment, but I'm still exploring the universe. So this list will probably change as I learn more. If you have your own top 5, or if there's a faction you think I should look into next, feel free to share it in the comments down below. Thank you for watching, and if you had something to give for free, let it be kindness.